Greetings to all and welcome to Season 3, Episode 9 of Losing Our Marbles, a talk for two. We're in a tradition here on Losing Our Marbles of every season getting weird with it. So let's bring in the weirdness. Here he is. It's baXcast.
Hello, glad to be here.
Hello.
The prodigal son returns.
Yep. Always
yeah.
looking forward to the baXcast episode of the season. And this one's been brewing. This has been almost 2 seasons we've been brewing on this one.
There's been some brew.
It's gonna get.
There has been
out there.
some brew.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, yeah, I think
how's things on the other side of the country?
Other side of the country's all right. I had the following interaction. This is verbatim, ladies and gentlemen.
I'm ready.
At the coffee shop a few days ago.
Okay.
A man walks in to the coffee shop. I will pin him about 60. He's got headphones in. As he walks in, he is holding a mask in his hand, and he is entering the store, walking over to the corner. We say, hi there. He says, hello back. Good stuff. He proceeds to put the mask on as he walks around the corner. And then as he gets into the line, we remind him, like, hey, just so you know, please have your mask on before you walk into the store, because the sign does say you have to have it on to enter. Don't lecture me! Fuck you! And he leaves.
Well, thanks everyone. It's been great. We'll see you next week.
So the other side of the country, I mean, we're good. We're good. The weather's all right. The weather's good.
Mm-hmm.
It's actually getting very sunny over here, so that's pretty cool.
That's good.
Yeah, I think
I've had a good week actually. It's been like,
have you had a good week?
50 every day. Almost ready to like go down into the sand and walk around barefoot. Not quite, but close. I don't go out much, thankfully. I mean, there's work, but we're kind of in off season, so I can just like not be where the people are.
Sure.
I'm busy in the back.
Busy in the back, and we busy in the back.
I'm
it's
busy
a
in
new,
the back.
yeah, it's a new single that's releasing.
So, I've been able to avoid most of that. How about Texas though?
How about Texas?
It's like they want to be the Wild West again.
I'm not. I feel bad for the people who currently reside in Texas, and I'm hoping there are a lot of businesses who've stated that they are going to.
Last I heard, it was around 75%.
Right. But
shame.
That's not the issue.
Yeah, it's a shame the virus doesn't care.
Right. Bingo. Like that. That's
the virus doesn't care.
Like, and this is where it gets awkward, and this is actually the perpetual state that like America has been in for the last year, because the masks and the antivirus methods of having to change the way you live, it was politicized, and it's a bummer that was the case. It would be nice if we could keep political things politicized, and then keep like keeping people alive, not political. It's crazy. Think about it.
Right.
Team, let's choose sides over if you want people to live or die.
Well, as stated, 500,000 people willingly gave their lives for the economy. That's my understanding. Based on what I've
every one of them.
I know, right? That's what I've heard. Those 500,000 sacrifices for the economy.
Right. So the issue The issue when it comes to Texas is now the businesses and the people that are going to continue to, be cautious have to be extra cautious,
Right.
Because now there's people like you've given power to the people that don't care or are apathetic, which is the last thing you want to do when there's a virus going around that kills people. So if you embolden apathy, you're going to have a bad time. But Texas, wants to appeal to, I don't know, to Texas.
I've visited Texas a couple times, and it's weird. Like, I never understood the European stereotype of Americans, and then I went to Texas, and I was like, oh, they do exist.
Ooh, this is interesting. So if we look at the global stereotype of Americans, it kind of sits in like the American South, doesn't it?
Yeah, and it's not even like deep South Georgia. Like, I don't think the rest of the world even knows what that's like. But more like just suburban Southern, like Houston area. Or like Atlanta, Georgia, maybe, like that kind of a thing. Know what I'm saying?
No, I'm saying, yes. Well, the UN had those like that UN team of people a few years ago go out to poverty-stricken area in Alabama, and they said that it was some of the poorest living conditions they had ever visited or seen.
Yeah.
That's
what I'm saying is like, I don't think that's the world's perception of like the
correct.
Deep South. They don't even know that exists, and they're probably more like a suburban Southern.
True. Yo, you're so you know what didn't show up for the podcast today? Your frames,
right?
They what? Did they miss the memo? Did they what on earth?
6,500 of them forgot to show up. It's great. I started at 18% frame loss. We've increased to 28% frame loss. I'm going to try to get up to 50 by the end of the talk show. I'm working hard on it.
This is good.
It's good. It's a good thing it's a podcast and not a talk show, not a video show, right? It's a good thing.
True. Yeah.
So, I don't know. Nothing I can control. I live on an island, so, if there's strong wind or whatever.
You live on an island.
I lived on an island. Barrier Island, technically. It's still continentally connected. Well, technically, all islands are continentally connected, right?
But then by technicality, there's no such thing as continents because everything's connected.
Well, there's tectonic plates, right?
Yeah, but they're all kind of a mishmash. I don't know, kind of. Yeah. I'm just saying, like, if we're saying that the island chain of Hawaii, like, goes down to the ocean floor, loops up to America, and we're saying that is a technical connection,
right?
Then everything's connected,
right? Well, that's what I was getting at. But
I think you're great. Yeah,
so,
nailed it.
So there's no dry land path from here to the mainland.
Do you want to make one?
But I could probably walk to the mainland. It would just be uncomfortable at times.
There was that story it was Japan, of a man and his wife who lived in a very isolated area, and she came down with a very sudden and very aggressive illness, and they called the ambulance and the medical team, but they couldn't get there in time. By the time they got there, she had died. And the man was so distraught and frustrated, he spent 35 years carving a tunnel through the mountain that was between the house and the road access, so that cars could come directly to the place where they lived.
See, I was thinking like you were gonna say carved a path through the forest, or cleared away unlevel terrain, or filled in a gap in a like ravine. But then you said carved mountain, and I was
the dude soloed.
Not
He
prepared.
solo chopped.
For that.
he solo chopped a hole into the mountain. Now, first of all, let's not discuss like this is a layman at this. The fact that they would do this and not get crushed to death accidentally is already a miracle. But they did it. Like, I mean, that's kind of why there's that mindset is different. I mean, that's the same mindset with like the tsunami, where there are like those people who, when the tsunami hit, like they're like, okay, I'm going to dedicate every single minute of my entire life for the foreseeable future to just swimming around finding people. Like, and that's it. And they just do that for years.
Yeah.
Just every day, wake up, put on scuba gear, go. Yep. Wake up, put on scuba gear, go. This is my life now. I don't know how I make money. Whatever. I'm just going to.
Right.
We don't have that ability to do anything like that in America due to the fact that we live in such a like a working complex. Like, without money, you get shafted.
I mean, there's a couple sides. So one, the mentality, that's the never again mentality, which I feel like America's mentality is more always the same every time. like the Constitution, right? We hide behind the word.
America's
behind
philosophy.
We hide behind the words.
Third time's a charm.
Right.
That's the American philosophy. Third time's a charm. Let's let it ride.
The Constitution, though, right? It's like, hey, this isn't working. We should change it. Yeah, but the Constitution, though. It's like, yeah, but it's not working. But the Constitution, though. There wasn't lobbying when the Constitution was written. There wasn't grenade launchers when the Constitution was written. There wasn't airplanes when the Constitution was like, come on now. It's not all in there.
There wasn't even the thought that it was these things were possible. I mean, they were written without knowledge.
There were just those crazy people with balloons from time to time. Like,
yeah, that's funny. At that time, if you're floating around a balloon, it's like, oh, there goes Billy Bob and his balloon again, chucking rocks at the children. I don't know what they would do in the balloons, but I hypothesize they threw rocks at children.
Probably.
Anyway.
All right. So it's so yeah, a lot of countries do have that like never again mentality, and like people wonder how like communism and socialism take hold in certain countries, and it's like, well, it's the never again, right? It's like they've had a dictator, they're tired of it, and they just want to liquidate everything. Not to say that it always works, but that's how those things happen.
I mean, so we're leaning political with the conversation. We're definitely down. So to kind of lean into the lean, it's crazy to me that the never again philosophy, I've never heard that it put that way, and that's good. I really like that. I think the American experiment is over. It's done. I don't know. I think we've kind of talked about this.
I think
we've
covered it in depth in previous episodes.
Yep. So yeah, exactly. So the idea to like, we're going to set that aside. And I think not being able to embrace the never again philosophy is kind of the reason why, because we're willing to let things happen for entitlement and what we consider, freedom. When unfortunately it's like the detriment. I think the right thing to do would be for us to all say never again and give away some of our freedoms. But you have enough people. If it was a small enough group of people, I think you could kind of like politically like force them to do something. I know It might be like, oh no, we don't want to do that. I get it.
Right.
But I'm just saying, for the good of utilitarian, you got to pull the trigger eventually. And like, okay, well, this small group of people, we're going to sequester you in the corner of the country and never go there. Right. But everybody else, we're going to take away these freedoms so that we can prosper. But that's never going to happen in America, right? We're too spread out, too much people, too many different ideologies, and all of them want an equal
which
say.
Is why it makes sense as states in I'm shy from the word confederacy, but it really is a confederacy of states. A federation, I guess, would be a more socially appeasing term. A federation of states.
Just because there's the connotation with confederacy.
It's a federation of states. And people just compare it like sociologically, because you like look at Spain and Poland and you're like, wow, okay, they're different. But if you put those on a map, that's like not even North Carolina to Maine, right? And you see it, like the dialects are completely different, the cultures are completely different. Like it's almost as different going from Spain to Poland as it is going from North Carolina to Maine. And
Right.
that's like the one thing I will give Republican politics is that it is very tricky to have federal laws for all of America. Strange that they would be against every principality of America having representation, considering they're so constitutionally driven, and the whole "don't tread on me," which is founded in no taxation without representation, and yet here we are with many principalities being taxed without representation. But let's not talk about that.
Do you think there will be a let's give it a time limit. We'll say in 20 years.
Sure.
Do you think there will be a 51st state?
I would hope it would be more than that.
So the answer is yes?
Do I think that's
okay?
Gonna
Sorry,
happen?
yeah.
No.
So practically, do you think that it'll happen?
I don't think it'll happen in 10 years. Maybe 50 years we'll have 55 states.
Well, I said 20. So what do you think? 20?
Optimistic.
Oh.
I'll be optimistic and say yes.
You're going to be optimistic?
But
What's
there's a big asterisk. There's a yes asterisk, and then you look at the bottom of the page and it says asterisk. Shen is being really optimistic.
Right. Shen does a little head tilt and his mustache quivers a little bit when he says it. Okay, what's that phrase? The optimist thinks we live in the best of all possible worlds. The pessimist is afraid it might be true.
Sure.
Ooh, it's so good.
That's a good one.
It's so good.
It's really good.
Lock that one away and think about that one, ladies and gentlemen.
No, that's good.
Yeah.
Cuts deep.
It does, doesn't it? Like, it's so good. I don't know.
Just quick announcement. I'm up to 30% frame loss. I'm getting there.
30?
I'm getting there.
You're gaining.
We're almost at 1/3.
What if we hit? Wait, I don't think. What if we hit like 50?
That's the goal. I'm aiming for 50 by the end of the stream. We can get there.
So how does this work as far as like people who are actually watching live?
They just turn their monitors off, or they minimize the window, and they just listen to our uninterrupted voices.
Oh, I see. Mm-hmm. So the idea here, the suggestion for everybody,
close your eyes,
is to turn the video feed off and just audio.
Just minimize the window, or just if you're probably have this tabbed with other streams, just don't watch this tab. Don't mute the tab, because then you're not getting anything. But
yeah, that would be a bad decision.
Yeah.
Right.
Great.
Cool.
Awesome.
Great. Yeah.
Failed experiment, never again. See, like, that's what I don't understand about this country, is why the never again is such a hard pill to swallow, right? Like, at the beginning of the pandemic, what did we do? We were like, hey, remember 100 years ago when millions of people died because you were all idiots? Can we not be idiots this time? And they're like, but the Constitution. It's like, but do you want that to happen again? Like, that's what I like. Why doesn't it register? What is the deficiency?
Misinformation.
You think that's it?
Yeah.
People can enter an echo chamber and be told what they want to hear, and then they don't have to face
Correct.
reality.
But then believe it. They can believe it as well.
Right.
So this is something I've been talking with my.
But then people die. Like.
Yep. But that's not their fault.
Right. I forget. My bad.
Exactly. Like, that's the mindset. Like, and this is me trying to answer the question directly, right? Like, if I am one of those people, that is the response. The response is, what? I'm supposed to prevent the death of everybody? Did you know this many people died from the flu last week? What do you want me to do? Wear a mask because people were dying from the flu? Do you want me to wear a mask because somebody died from this disease that gets transferred, when you touch somebody or whatever?
Right.
And it's like, wow, like, that is a fallacy to even, that's like blatant fallacy, but misinformation. So the idea here for misinformation, I've been talking with my dad every week, and it's been super awesome. And one of the things that came up recently in our discussions is so he borders on misinformation, but he has like this little. I'm so thankful for this. He has like a little like twitch in like the side of his brain somewhere that allows him to know it might not be right. Like just barely. Just he can hang on without diving in. So he just throws a rope but it's like a kite string and it's like cutting his hand as he holds it. But like and so then we have conversations and he brings things up and we can have these really cool talks. One of them is this vaccines revealed thing with this guy named Dr. Patrick Okawatu, or I can't remember his last name. And the first thing I had to do to my dad is be like, Dad, just so you know, he's not actually a doctor.
Right.
He's a
politician?
No.
Science.
What is the one medical field that loves to claim they're doctors?
Chiropractors.
Yes, it is.
Nailed
dude.
it.
This I could go
the
in
fact
on this
that I
for
could guess
hours
that on
if
the
you
first
want.
try that's
right. No, and I exactly, and I knew you could. That's why I gave you the softball, dude. I do not understand the obsession. And never mind, I do understand it. It is like just so confounding and interesting that of all the practices that exist out there, being a doctor of chiropractic is the one like discipline where everybody wants to create the new world order of health. They all have the best idea for every medical application of what to do in your life, and they do not have a medical degree. It's like they have to prove something. So I had to talk to my dad and get him to see the difference between, first of all, that saying you're Dr. so-and-so, if you have a doctor of chiropractic, you aren't a doctor. That is actually something you can't do, and you could be in trouble if you do that. You're supposed to have a DC at the end of your name for doctor of chiropractic. If you're a doctor, you have a doctorate. Like you have gone
that's
to
a
the
DR
end.
in the front with an MD at the end.
Exactly. So the best way to know that difference for anybody interested is look for the MD. They'll have an MD at the end of the name. That is what you want to look for. If they put doctor in front, Dr. Phil, what do you know? Not a doctor, right? But like you can put doctor in front of something and you can start to make these claims. So this is why I say misinformation is so like that's like the reason. It's just because it's that easy. My dad was full on sold that this was an actual doctor. That's it. Just he read the name and then he accepted it at face value. So I think it's a lack of skepticism, right? It's a lack of we need to not be so like you can be willing to believe, but be cautious to think it's the truth.
Okay, I'm going to go more specific than you did because I think you answered my question and now I have a better answer.
That's what we're here for.
Yeah. So even more specific than that, science admits when it's wrong. In fact, the only thing science can do is prove what is wrong. It can't prove something true. It can only prove something wrong. It can build evidence and have overwhelming majority opinion that something is true, but it can't prove true. Math can prove true, but science can only prove false. And those are the two tools, right? You can prove something true with math and you can prove something false with science. And there's things that are not math and not science, and you're like, well, now I have to make up my mind, right? And religion usually falls into that category. And that's the problem, is they see this metric of truth, math, and it's like, well, that's not going to help me, decide how I'm supposed to raise my family. And they see the science of false, and they're like, okay, well, I know what not to do, so I'm not traumatizing my children. But now what? Like, what is the truth? What is the answer? And so there are these areas that are not science and not math that build themselves up as truth, which gives them authority. And then when you have to challenge those things with things like math and science, they're like, yeah, but math and science are wrong. It's like, no, math and science admit when they're wrong, whereas your third thing doesn't. And they interpret that as weakness rather than intelligence and strength. And I think that's the pitfall in America, is that we have a distrust in intelligence because we see admitting wrong or admitting weakness as bad.
Correct. Pride, right?
So that's the caveat. That's the deficiency. The deficiency is thinking that being wrong is weak or being wrong disqualifies you. And that goes, and then politically speaking, that goes in all directions. That goes in conservatives who ignore science, and that goes with liberals who are overzealous with cancel culture. Like, it's all there. That's the core. We cracked the code, my friend. We did it. We solved America's problems. The experiment can be. Let's do another round. We're gonna throw this batch out. We're gonna get
batches out.
Get some new petri dishes. We're gonna go America 2.
America 2.0? Okay, what's the first thing you put in the Constitution of America 2.0?
First Amendment.
Of the new United States of America.
First
Amendment. Of the reunited.
The reunited.
Oh my God, the RSA, the Reunited States of America. Hold on. That's actually, that kind of rolls off the tongue a little. Good. I kind of like that.
Oh, you know how we proposed that instead of a national anthem, we have a national movie?
Yes.
The national movie is Snow White 3, Son of Frumpy. You have to watch it before every major sporting event.
Yeah, no, there's actually it's like state television programming. It's the Son of Frumpy.
That's the first thing I put into the Constitution is the movie Snow White 3, Son of Frumpy must be played before all live main national events and all televised national events.
Okay. So it didn't take. So how long did it take us? 32 minutes to tie into Record Hunters. It took not too bad. We actually made it a little bit of time. Okay, so let's do two things. First of all, what would, besides Son of Frumpy, what would be a movie that totally does exist that you think could be like America's movie that everybody has to watch?
Right. Well, seeing as people are going to be like talking along with it, you'd want it to be a very quotable movie.
Yes.
I think in line with that, Pulp Fiction is good, but you don't want children reciting Pulp Fiction.
I mean, there's worse things. They already recite but a lot of shit.
There's some bad words in there. There's some bad words in there, man. I'm not talking about shit and fuck. I'm talking about some bad words in there.
Right. No, I mean,
there's more than one. A lot of you might just be thinking of one word. No, there are several bad words in there.
If profanity and curses are a palette, director name.
Quentin Tarantino.
Thank you. Definitely went Bob Ross on.
Yes.
He was.
That is a Bob Ross,
as he does in all his movies.
That is the Bob Ross painting of movies. I agree.
Yeah. But it is like, as far as like an accomplishment to like cinema and quotes and stuff, I mean, it is up there. So we have to find Pulp Fiction light.
Right.
What is
something as quotable as Pulp Fiction, but something you wouldn't mind children reciting in school every day?
So I'm going to say it's not the right movie, but trying to get closer. We'll say The Matrix is like over here.
I like the idea of The Matrix.
Because it helps you like think behind the veil. There's like there's like a different order of things, and
there's a lot of good quotes.
It's got the good versus evil tropes. It's got the hero tropes. It's got the uninitiated becoming the initiated from disillusionment to belief. Like you have all these different things to go through. And you want to talk about a quotable movie? Holy smoke! That's good. I quote The Matrix every day, and I don't even mean to.
Yeah, it's good.
But anyway, good, great. That was good.
More personally, I think SpongeBob the movie, the first one.
Jesus Christ.
I'd be okay with that.
Okay, give me your rundown, sir.
That's just a personal one for that one.
A personal. What about SpongeBob the movie, the original? Do you want every American to to digest.
Well,
What is?
yeah. So, like I said, it's a bit more of a selfish thing, but like, there's the you just gotta believe part with the mermaid, which is fantastic. Um, there's the Goofy Goober. There's Plankton being Plankton. There's Squidward being Squidward. Like, I feel like every American will have some part of that movie that they just can't not identify with.
But it sounds like what you're doing is you're saying everybody should watch SpongeBob, and if we have to put that in movie form, there is a movie that accomplishes this goal.
Yes, it does a very good job.
Yep,
it does a very good job.
Do you remember the episode of SpongeBob, Band Geeks?
That is always in my top 3.
The
Band Geeks,
my parents,
Squidward tries the Krabby Patty for the first time, and the Telltale Boots. Those are the 3 best ones.
My dad didn't enjoy much of the SpongeBob, but the Band Geeks episode was airing one day after school. My brother and I are sitting down watching it. Mm-hmm. And he stumbles in and hears one of the jokes and laughs out loud. And so he comes over to the couch and sits down and watches the whole episode. Mm-hmm. Could not believe how funny and hilarious it was. Mm-hmm. Takes a blank tape, puts it in the VCR, and waits and looks at the TV guide. He waited until that episode aired again. Right. And he was always looking at the TV guide to see when the Band Geeks episode was airing, and then he recorded it on VHS tape in my parents' house somewhere.
Nice.
Is a bootlegged, recorded VHS tape of Band Geeks. The only thing that he has ever done that with on television. I'm not kidding. There's nothing, no sports events, nothing. Band Geeks SpongeBob episode.
I've cried more than once to that episode.
It is so like
it's you know what it is for me? It's not just the song, it's Squidward. Like I don't know why. Like I'm tearing up right now thinking about it. Just Squidward having his day. It gets to me, man. It gets to me.
Great.
So yeah. What the hell were we talking about?
We've covered all, here's the deal. Broad strokes. And now we've broad strokes.
America too. We were talking about America too.
We were talking about the reunited States of America. That's right. The reunited States of America.
I think the First Amendment is good. I think more so than what I would put in first, I think the biggest change I would make is layman talk. None of this legal speak, none of this eloquent literature poetry. Very mathematical contract, not even contract, like dumb contract language. Mm-hmm. That's what I would do.
So, like, if we were to hit the 2A, we would say, you can own a gun, but only if you plan to fight against the government, or something like that. You just change it to be this very blatant, And then people are going to sit there and try to weasel, though. Well, I have the gun because I want to fight the government eventually, but in the meantime, I'm going to go shoot something else.
You could say something like the right of the people to bear arms for the protection
legalese.
of their
Nope, I hate
property.
Nope. That's not layman terms. What you done mean? The right of the right to bear arms.
Okay, no.
You're talking about an animal bear arms. Yep, that's everything. Can I have a rocket launcher? That's an arm.
Great.
Dude, you're so great.
I don't know.
I don't know either.
I would just throw it out. I think we need to have the third constitutional convention. Honestly, we need to throw it all out.
Let's do it. Over. There's no way that would go across the aisle. We need. Well, this is the thing.
That would be part of it. We would have to kick everyone out of office. We'd have.
Do you want to just
start over?
Hold on.
We'd have to start over.
Dude, let's
2-term limit.
Bring this.
Here's what I would say. Also, I know you're going somewhere, but let me just get this out real quick before I explode. 2-term limits for any position, whether you're like a secretary or a senator or whatever. and 20-year maximum government period. Okay, continue.
America would be better off if we did this.
Mm-hmm.
I think that is an objective statement.
Yep.
I want to say that people could, and that's not me trying to be biased. I'm actually processing this and thinking it is objective if we actually could clean and get we'll call it more youthful, more like with the times representatives. If we could get people who are actually like intelligent in their fields,
right,
representing the policies that are being made in these fields, instead of companies are basically making policy.
Right. So basically, you disqualify anyone who has ever held office or run from office. None of them are allowed anymore. They're all blacklisted. And we have to start over.
Okay.
The other issue there is the structures in place are designed to keep the people in power, which means without fixing the structures, it would very quickly get right back into the same problem. Something I constantly am baffled by is the lack of embracing the internet by any country, especially countries that have formed since the internet has been around. Like the fact that we don't have a rigorous digital infrastructure for the government through which we can do all our government things. Like seriously,
correct.
like every bill should be uploaded in totality to the same government website that anyone can go and look at, and then you can log in with your federal voting ID and vote on the bill yourself. And then maybe you don't even have it count as a public vote or not. Like it would be nice if that counted for 2 votes and you could have both in favor, both against, or 1 in favor, 1 against, depending on the percentages, whatever. But at least you could say like, hey, elected representatives that keep saying you represent your people, why are 25 of you voting for this bill when 75% of the public is in favor of it? You're not representing your people. Right?
Which, good, yes. And one of the reasons why we might be suggesting a reset is we would be arguing that currently the representatives may be voted in, but then they do not represent their population.
Right.
Like that, once you're there, it kind of changes a little bit. Or what might be even worse is the people who play to their majority of voters by only ever doing or voting for anything strictly for these this specific group of people. If that makes sense.
The other question
people
I have,
who
sorry.
Carry on. Like a representative who wants to make it a career, like you're saying, no term limit, right? Like I want to be here forever, and to do that, I'm gonna toe the line on everything so that everyone kind of likes me always.
Right.
Like that might be worse than the person who goes in under one platform and does something completely different. Like the total.
Right.
Ugh.
That's what I'm saying.
Anyway,
so we have the internet, and we could very easily regulate that. We'd be like, hey, Mr. Senator, why have you voted against the popular opinion of the area you represent 20 out of 25 times in the last year? You should probably resign. Right?
Yep. If only it was that easy, right?
Well, it is that easy. It's called using the internet.
Oh.
It's called using the internet. It really would be that
Nice.
easy. But whatever. So what I was gonna say on top of that is the whole district thing,
District thing. What district thing?
So we have to break up America into what, 10,000 people or something?
Mm-hmm.
Right? Why? Why is that geographically decided?
Mm-hmm.
Do you know your 3 nearest neighbors?
No, of course not.
Do you share a job?
Nearest neighbors of what? Like districts?
Your three physical neighbors. Your three
yes.
nearest physical neighbors.
I do.
Okay. Do you work the same jobs?
No.
Do you share the same friend circles?
No.
Do you?
No.
Great. So why is geography still the deciding factor in district? It makes no sense. Either
Correct.
you should be allowed to sign up for your district that you agree with or choose, or you could just randomly divide the state into groups of 10,000 people. It could be. What if it was randomized every election?
So if you could, yes. So one, I think we know that's an innate good. If we're getting into the legal side of that, you would have to prove it was actually random.
Right.
Otherwise, everybody's going to conspiracy their asses off about, oh, it ain't random. This was like, no matter who loses, something was wrong with the algorithm.
Right.
So,
right. So then,
which also
just sign up. You just choose. You choose your district.
So I did want to mention that we did have somebody put through a bill at the federal level for internet access to all.
Yes.
This just happened they've been, I forget the name of the representative, but they've put this bill forward a few times, and now it might be the best chance for them to actually get passed. And it is an internet access for all at a minimum of 1 gigabit of data. I can't remember what it is, but they're trying to push this idea you're talking about, where it's like, how on earth have we not done anything to support?
And that's the other thing is, why do we have privatized utilities? I thought it was I thought it was constitutional that the federal government has to provide all utilities, including mail, and now they don't own any of it. Shouldn't the country be in charge of making sure everyone has electricity? Shouldn't the country be in charge of making sure everyone has clean water? Shouldn't the country be in charge of everyone, make sure everyone has internet? Internet is a utility. I don't know what age people live in these days. Internet is a utility. It's not a luxury. Just because, people used to grow up without clean water. Does that mean clean water is not a utility? Does that mean clean water is a luxury? What world do you live in where internet is not a utility and should be provided by the state?
As a thought on that note, I think we had this weird section of the internet becoming a thing, but also telecommunication becoming a thing simultaneously. And I think as a result of independent telecommunication in the form of cellular phones, we allowed, without knowing it, the companies, the big telecommunication conglomerates, to take control of internet access before we really had our hands on it.
Yep.
Especially with the Blackberries and the popularity of them.
We didn't allow
the
it. The people who were paid to let it happen.
Correct. But they didn't. But I don't think anybody knew the implications of the internet at that point. They didn't know that this will literally be the way that everybody lives their life on a minute by minute daily basis. I don't think they knew that was how far it was going to go.
Correct. But if a company is paying you hundreds of thousands of dollars to give them control over something.
I mean, yeah.
Sure, the temptation is just to be okay, sure, whatever. It might happen, it might not happen, but at least I'm rich. I get that temptation, but as a politically elected representative, it's kind of your job to go, well, why would you do that? Should we be looking into this?
So yes. So if we remove whatever the intention or motivation, I think we are in agreement that the idea is the internet came in, cell phones came in, and then they both were mashed up into the company controls as everybody started to get cell phones.
Right.
Whether it was the old Nokias, the flip phones, I still have a Razor. I still have a Razor cell phone somewhere in almost mint condition.
I had the second one, the Crazer.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
I kind of want to go back to it for
well, you can reasons. Now. They have the foldable glass.
No, I want the I don't want the new one. I want the old. I want the Razor. The problem is the SIM card is like the size of Hawaii, so you can't really. I don't know if they can like get you a big enough SIM card for it to access that anymore.
I would imagine there's got to be someone who like one of those crowdsource funded situations, right? That like makes razors on the outside, but on the inside they're like a customized smartphone. I would imagine there's something like that somewhere.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah.
In the format of a talk for two and losing our marbles.
Yeah.
Typically it seems we go 1 hour where you're like, I have questions for you, and then the second hour is like, you have questions for me, or something like that.
Yep.
We seem to have set that aside.
As we
for the sake
do.
of a running conversation. It just occurred to me, it's like, wait, I don't think there's actually been a question like directly asked as a setup question either way. It's just been a discussion the whole time.
Well, that's why we keep having you back. We
should do shows together. We should do shows, man.
You're the break of format we need.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of which, I don't think I've done my solo episode this season yet, so I'm gonna have to get that in at some point.
Fun.
Speaking of breaking formats, and speaking of formats, we should probably mid-season mix-up. Stream?
You want a mid-season mix-up?
Mid-season? Mid-season? It is mid-season.
It's
mid-season and midstream. It's mid-season and midstream. Ladies and gentlemen, it's the midstream. You got huge. Wow, oh my God. Get him out of here. Get him out of here. All right, now we're back to normal. Okay. I fixed that before the show. I don't know what happened. Anyway,
I just wanted I wanted to be.
All right.
I want to have a good time.
Here's what. No one gave any links to anything. In chat.
Do you want me to make a suggestion?
I was thinking we could each do a suggestion.
Well, so there's those like the like super meme videos. That just are like loops of like memes and weird.
Those are good. They're very hit and miss.
Just, but, yeah, correct. So it could be a miss, it could be a hit, but that's the thing about them is there's the one part inside of it that catches you off guard because you're sitting there unexpecting like these are all stupid.
Yeah. I think my favorite
memes compilation.
I think my favorite source for those is comment awards or Reddit awards. Are you aware of that? It's an automated robot voice, and it just reads Reddit threads, and like it just adds to it. Like usually the selection of content is amusing on its own, but then the fact that it's a robot trying to read the conversation just adds the extra layer of ridiculousness to it.
Love it.
So let's go comment awards. See what we got. Cowbelly Studios, that's the one. If anyone's curious. Oh no, they're gone. Oh no. Wait. Now it's Cowbelly Archives. Fair enough. Let's go for this one. Sure. Do you have sound? Oh, good. I'm gonna full screen here. This is not going to be terrible, by the way, because I have no frames. We're up to 32%, by the way.
Nice.
Climbing. Still climbing.
Yep.
Okay. Hopefully you have sound.
I have sound. I've turned to the lowest quality. So.
Okay, great. Here we go.
So wait. So what are we doing?
We're not laughing.
Okay, there we go. So ladies and gentlemen, our goal is not to laugh.
Not laughing.
Not laughing.
Not laughing. Okay, great.
And my sound will be delayed.
Past the Declaration of Independence, you better not establish the United States as an independent nation. Me. There was an intruder alert on the security cam at my house today. I can be your angel, or your devil. Roses are red, violets are blue. Where was Kim Kardashian when the world needed her during World War II? No Twix, left Twix, right Twix, middle Twix. Hail Satan, rain Satan, snow Satan. Tomorrow there is a 90% chance of precipitating. It'll be foggy in
Damn
the
it! No!
Oh,
He said it's so good. Precipitating.
precipitating.
Too good.
Precipitating was good. That.
Precipitating. He said it.
Oh my
If
god.
I was just reading this, I wouldn't laugh. But because he's saying it. Oh, I almost made it. Okay,
You almost
round
made
2.
it.
So it's 1-0. 1-0.
1-0.
1-0. Bax 1,
Well, now
Gen 0. Here we go.
morning. Lots of condensating. I didn't think we can do it, Bob. Shut the fuck up, Lofty, you big blue cunt. I would literally die if a boy did this to me. Kid with boner at Roblox humping a girl. I tried to print a photo of a baby, but my printer ran out of ink and I can't stop screaming. When you see a good meme but then you see the iFunny logo. Oh, so you like to play video games for Cupcake? I totally think my whole life is a game sometimes. Flora, I have some news for you. This is the fucking scariest thing I've ever seen. Forced chokes. Harder daddy. What? This ugly son of a bitch is fucking super hot chicks and basically you are fucking stupid. How? Just watch the free video. When you're giving her that Trump Tower and she screams deport me daddy. I'm picking you up tomorrow from school at 2:30. I don't give a fuck if you have to go home because you're not. And you are gonna spend 8 hours with me. And we are gonna watch motherfucking Star Wars, you fucking little shit. And get some money too. I'm gonna order fucking pizza and some fucking wings. Fuck you. Okay babe, I love you. Shut the fuck up. Finally, a news anchor I can trust. You mess with Dak Racco, you get Dag Loco. Instead of yelling hello when you think a murderer's in your home, say goodbye. Then if he's there he'll be like, well okay, guess I'm leaving. Wife, handing me crying baby. Will you please change him? Me. Okay. Drives to hospital. Me. Hi, yes my baby is crying, can I get a new one? Left arm of the huge cunt. Left leg of the huge cunt. Right leg of the huge cunt. Right arm of the huge cunt. Cow belly the huge cunt. This poor dog was born blind, but thanks to modern medical advancements he gets to see his owner for the first time. Every now and again this gets a couple notes and I hate it. I hate this. Go ahead, tell them what you saw. No one will believe you. The perfect girl doesn't exist. I can fit 34 Pringles up my vagina. Special instructions. Send your good S delivery boy. Would you rather have nipples that constantly change colors like a disco light, or have nipples that look like diamonds? My teacher literally printed out an Instagram post, doing homework on time, doing homework before class, doing homework during class, not doing it. The entire class when there's a sub. A fitness app just gave up on me, OMG, ha 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 ha. These reminders don't seem helpful. We'll stop them so they don't bother you. The CIA can spy on you through your phone. The CIA can access your car's computer and kill you at any time. I sleep. The new Veggie Tales season just dropped. Dad, why's my sister's name Rose? Because your mother loves roses. Thanks Dad. No problem. 1998 McDonald's Moulin Szechuan sauce. Ernie is shocked to find out Bert wasted their entire combined life savings on Candy Crush. It's so sad to see how much we've destroyed our planet. Satellite image 1975. Satellite image 2016. I had to grind for this view. Find diamonds in Minecraft 84% 135,139 votes. Or have sex with the hottest girl at your school 16% 25,290 votes. Man hit by train. If you look very closely you can see the train is fake. The Switch. Oh no thanks. I'm a real gamer. I'm holding back tears. This video is so powerful. Boy, shut your sensitive ass up. Never mind, I just cried. People that type messages regularly not using emojis. People who overuse exclamation marks and points. People homs desi shitload of emojis. Advisors vow to bob. Is this dubstep? Enter the following.
The voice got me twice. Oh my god.
This is dubstep.
Ooh.
Ooh.
Oh man.
Some of those.
I was not ready for Marge Simpson. Marge Simpson came out of nowhere.
Yeah, that was one. I almost laughed at the ridiculousness of the image.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the issue for me is that like so I'm looking over to the right.
Right.
And then I'm looking back over to the left.
Yeah.
Because on the left, so this is like our feed, and this is where I get the audio from.
Yeah.
So I'm looking where I'm getting the audio from.
Right.
But that's not matching up with this.
Right.
So I'm sure it's probably kind of funny for people watching.
Yeah.
That are like, oh, his reactions are like a little off.
Okay.
Have you seen the JT sex kick?
JT
pregnant
sex kick?
video?
No.
Okay, well, let's do this one real quick because everybody loves it, and I think you've seen it. You probably just don't know.
You linking me?
Yeah, I'm linking you right now. Dude, I'm linking you so good.
I'm ready.
Well, I'm trying to link you. Tell me if you've seen this.
Oh no. No.
Have you?
No. We can't do
Have you?
this. We can't do this. No, we
Have you
can't.
seen it?
We can't do this.
Have you seen it?
We can't do this. All right.
Okay,
no.
so
All
we
right,
gotta do this.
All right. If we
And
do
then-
this, then we have to
Yeah.
do the one I have, and then
What?
that's it. Great.
Wait, but that means you get two. You get the I don't want the sandwich. I don't want center content sandwich.
You said like rapid meme video, and I was like, well, here's a good source. That was like a collective choice, and now this is your choice,
yeah.
and then I have my choice, and then we'll be done. It's my show, damn it! I'm gonna run it the way
Okay,
I want.
all right. Okay.
You have your own talk show. You can call the shots, sir.
Am I pregnant? Am I pargant? Am I gregnant? Am I pegnate? Help? Is there a possibility that I'm pegrant? Am I pregnant or am I okay? Could I be pregonate? How do I know if I'm prengan? Can I be
There's one I know
pregnant?
you get.
Can oo get pregante? Can oo bleed while oo are pergert? Can oo down a 20-foot water slide pegnat? How can I get my GF pregnant? What happened when get Perginat? How can a 9-year-old get pregnant? Will my get pragnan? What is the best time to sex to become pregnant? Does anyone know how many teens get pregnant a year? Are these systems of being pregnant? Girlfriend ain't had periods since she got pregat. Is it possible having sex to a 8 months pregnant? If a woman has starch marks on her...
Was it the Southern voice that got you?
No,
No.
it's the person who typed the F. Pregnant. I don't. That one has never gotten me before.
gets me. I'm surprised Pregante didn't get me that time because Pregante gets me every time.
Well, there's the one I always laugh at. I think everybody does, but like, God, I don't think I've ever laughed at that one. But something about that F being there was just really funny today. Damn it. Okay. All right. Shoot.
It's 2-1. You're still ahead,
2-1.
Max. You're still ahead.
If a woman has starch masks on her body, does that mean she has been pregnant before? Period, question mark. My circle is normal, but yet I still don't get pregnant. What can I use? Period, question mark. Has anybody got pregnant by just pre-cum while using birth control? Did most you women feel pregnant before find out? I am pregnant last 5 weeks, so can I start sex? Danger ops, pregnant sex. Will it hurt baby top of his head? Me and my boyfriend are trying to get prefnat, and haven't took my birth control in 12 days? 38 plus 2 weeks? Pregnant? I think my dog is pregnant. Can I get bringed if he had a condom on? How long can Ugo being pregnant to get an abortion? I think I'm pregnant with my 14th child. Can you burn a Luigi board?
Wow. Whew. Ugh. Okay.
The Perganonant
it?
usually gets me
The Perganonant. All right.
because he does such a good job. Like, there's that pause, and then the zoom. Perganonant. Anyway, okay.
Okay. This
Okay.
doesn't make me
Oh, good.
laugh so much as it makes me uncomfortable.
Oh,
And we probably
well,
won't.
but how does that? That's not on theme.
But it makes you so uncomfortable, like you nervous laugh.
Okay.
Right? You know what I'm saying? Like, okay. And we probably won't go through the whole thing, even though you should all watch all of this. It's a masterpiece. Okay. Starts off so innocent. How is lettuce that juicy? Where do you find lettuce that juicy? It's disgusting. It is disgusting. I'm sorry. There's no reason lettuce should sound like that when you chew it. Okay, I think we both lost on that one. We'll just.
I lost because you paused.
All right.
Call it a wash.
Okay, I can handle potato chips. I can do potato chips. So juicy. That's not a banana. There's no way that's a banana. That's not a banana. Oh, there's going to be an ad. Apologies. Please hold. Interrupted by an ad. Sucks.
Wow, immersion broken.
I know, right? Oh, double ad. Awesome.
We got the double.
It's Mercy. It's Mercy ad.
Was that woman Perganonant?
That's not bad. It's kind of nice. The dry crunchy doesn't bother me as much. The wet juicy.
Oh.
Oh.
Oh. Oh.
Oh.
Oh.
Can you not make those noises?
Gross. That's such an unsettling noise. We should probably tap out. We should probably tap out.
There's one part I want to get to. There is one part I want to get to.
Oh, there's one. Okay. We haven't gotten there. Got it.
Because it's one of those things where, like, it doesn't even have to happen. You just know it's going to happen, and you're done. All right, we can get there. We can get there. Come on, Bax.
Okay. Okay.
We got
it.
All right. Okay. Cereal. No problem. No problem with cereal. I mean, I'm a little upset, but it's not bad.
An excellent milk pourer.
That's a lot of... Okay. Oh. No, we don't need the... Really not necessary. Really not necessary. That's nice. I cannot. I can't. My internet cut out.
Lately, I
can't.
being quite like myself.
I can't. Oh my god. We're almost there. We can do this. Oh my god. That's a noise. That's a noise. I'm not even trying anymore. I'm just trying to survive.
Oh. 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 Oh.
Oh. Oh. Oh. Good lord. Why is it so juicy? A lot of mustard.
Oh.
I don't even know what that is. I don't even know what that is. This is an assault on all senses.
He's so aggressive.
It's an assault on all.
Oh.
Every inch of me is uncomfortable. Every inch is uncomfortable. Oh. No, this is good. No, we're good. This is good. Alright, no. Okay. Oh.
Oh. Oh.
Okay, dry crunchy, dry crunchy's okay.
That's a good break.
Oh, that's actually kind of nice. Oh, it's a kiwi. Okay. Huh. Oh, the pasta's back. Remember the pasta? What is that? What is that? No. no. Why are there so many ads? Good lord.
Did we get to the part you wanted to get to? I mean,
I'd
we've watched the whole video at this point.
It might have been a different one, honestly. It might not have been.
Bro.
Okay, well, I think we're done.
I think
we're done. Well, that was an experience. Oh. Wow. Well, I've forgotten everything we talked about in the first half. Mission accomplished. Oh. By the way, that was a joke. That's How To Basic. It is a prank YouTube channel that creates fake how-to videos. They have eggs in every single video. That's like their joke.
Nice.
Yeah. Check them out. Anyway, yeah.
Wow.
I think it might have been a different video, but there's one where it like starts off pretty believable, and then it pans to a raw chicken, and you're like, "Oh no, please don't do this." And then it's just downhill from there.
It pans to a raw chicken.
Yeah. And just like it's just seeing that visual, you're like, "Oh no, don't do this." Like the possibilities just start flooding your mind. Anyway, we survived. If I find the one I'm thinking of, I'll send it to you some other time.
Please do.
Anyway, good stuff.
I wanted to get us back into. Where was it? Great. No, this is going well. Mm-hmm. I don't know where it is. I thought I had it marked, but I didn't.
Great.
Cool. Good talk. So, what do you want to talk about?
Well, okay, so it's interesting that you always have these very good opinions on like failed experiments and the way people live their lives. But somehow you don't seem to pair that, at least to my understanding, with a lack of free will.
Ooh, okay. Can you state that in a way that connects those more concretely so I can answer appropriately?
So my question is,
for people, so that everybody knows, free will doesn't exist, and I think that's what he's referring to contextually. So for those who don't know, there's no free will. Continue.
Okay. So what even is the point then of commentating on the direction things are headed and or the state of things if we are powerless to change them?
So this is where it gets a little interesting here. Now, saying free will doesn't exist doesn't mean that the illusion of free will doesn't exist. The illusion of free will very much exists.
I'll take that.
And that would be the easy answer. It's not the fun answer, but it is the easy answer. The idea here would be that you take this philosophy in two different directions. You either go into complete nihilism, where you just say nothing matters, and we literally need to deny the fact that we would think anything matters and just be. We just do things, and then
which is a lot of core to a lot of Eastern philosophy. This is not a estranged position. This is actually like more than half of the world has beliefs founded in these principles.
Yes. The other side of that would be something similar to existentialism, which is where I land in a place of if we don't have free will, then we go to the fact that we exist, and then we try to define what our value and our purpose can be out of existence itself, since existence is the truth. So like we didn't have any free will to choose if we exist or not.
Correct.
So that's where you can get into an actual interesting discussion about free will is, well, I didn't choose to exist,
Right.
so everything else is now determined because I am now a facet of the cogs of the world and of the universe. And that's where it gets interesting. So for me answering that question, like, I think, if I may, and you can correct me on this, what you are bringing up is an idea of how do you find purpose if you can't make free decisions? Is that incorrect or correct?
I would say that's a significant portion of it. I wouldn't say that's the whole thing, but that's a significant portion of the argument.
I think there is, and I think it goes to, unfortunately, like the easy answer of, well, the illusion is still there, but more importantly, we aren't. I'm going to quote the Matrix. We are not here to make decisions.
Right.
We've already made them.
Right.
We are here to understand why.
Right.
And in knowing ourselves, in mindfulness, in the goal of trying to become better versions of ourselves, and to improve the people in the world around us, it's time. I think it would be very good, at least in Western culture, more, but globally, to say, what just happened was out of my control. It was based on circumstances and environment. And as a result of that, I need to figure out why what happened.
Okay.
Not as a means of figuring out the causal chain, but as a means of deciding why it's important to me that I care about it, or shedding off the idea that I care about it at all. Maybe
Right.
I shouldn't be thinking about this.
Little dubious there, in that it seems like we have a choice in pursuing that meaning.
I see what you're saying, but then we would it's just
Right.
as the limit approaches zero. So then I would say, well,
Right.
no, our circumstances are dictating whether we want to make the consideration of our
Right.
circumstances, dictating whether we want to make a consideration of our circumstances,
Right.
dictating whether,
Right. Which makes it meaningless.
which goes towards nihilism.
Right.
Right. But I think I like, to be clear, there really is like the illusion of free will is very pertinent. The reason the separation between free will existing and our illusion of it is in the sheer vastness of moving variables that we don't know. But the base argument here, from my perspective, in my opinion, would be that if we had a computer, the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, it was just like so big and so insane that it could actually take all the variables and calculate them.
Right.
We could determine every single thing that every single person, animal, creature, living thing ever would do. We would have to find a way to get all those variables inputted, but it's just computations. Our brain is a computer. It doesn't do anything. Like, there's randomness, but that's only because of our lack of understanding of that randomness.
There is mathematical randomness.
Correct.
There's like not just due to imperceivability. There's actual physical randomness, mostly on a quantum level. And
Correct.
whether or not that can actually affect the human brain or not is, a lot of speculation. But mathematically speaking, the universe isn't entirely fixed. And that kind of gets into, so here's where I'll bridge the gap with you on this one, right? Because this is how I view time. Time is very much each person has their own plane, and you can be drawn like a gravitic well to certain futures with higher and lower probabilities. If you look at the concept of probability, the most common example is like, we don't know where a photon is. We just know that it behaves like a wave, which distributes probability in this region with this gradient. And then when we measure it, we find it in one specific spot. And that seems weird unless you think about the future. The future is a gradient of possibilities, some more likely, some less likely. But when the present happens, all those possibilities collapse into a single instance, much like the possibilities of the location of a photon collapsing into a single point. So you can metaphorically link those two concepts of physical probability and future probability. And I would say that at best, you can, like, if you had all the information, I think it would actually make the future less clear, because you would more understand that it is a probability cloud that collapses to a singularity when measured. And our only way of measuring the future is the present.
Yeah, that doesn't. No, I don't. So I see that where I get hung up there is that a probability cloud would, like, so that, like, if everything is a probability cloud, that's only because of our misunderstanding of the variables. Just
Well,
like one little.
but I'm saying
one
there's
little
there's a physical example where that's not true.
There's a physical example of us not knowing one variable of the situation, yet being able to predict where it probably will end up and how it probably behaves.
Fair enough.
I guess my point there, and this is where, yeah, we are getting into a little bit of conjecture, maybe hypothesis.
Right.
But like, we would, with a powerful enough understanding of things, be able to predict far more accurately. We just don't have the equipment necessary.
Sure. I just think,
But
based
yeah.
off of the current understanding, there are things
Sure.
that will always be random, and therefore no prediction will ever be 100% certain.
So how would that actually make it so that how does that improve a thesis for us having free will if there's like one example of randomness? How does that apply to our free decision making?
One example of randomness would support other instances of randomness, and human thought could have a random component to it. Obviously, it's clearly dictated by environment and conditioning and all that stuff, but that's not to say it's devoid of some random element.
Okay. So I get good. Okay. If I was to,
It's like this, right? So chemistry, right? If you put sodium into a water with chlorine bath, it will light on fire and produce salt. Now, some atoms won't do that. But we, on the larger scale, know exactly how that reaction is going to go to a very high level of accuracy.
Okay.
Similarly, with like quantum tunneling, which is more in that random side of things, if I just had a pile of hydrogen, there's not enough molecules there for the quantum tunneling to generate hydrogen or helium with a fusion reaction often enough. It would happen, but it would just be one atom doing it once with a very little blip of energy that you would probably miss because it only happens once every 1,000 years or whatever. But when you have something the size of the sun, there are so many hydrogen atoms that you're guaranteed constant helium fusion because of quantum tunneling, which is a random process. And so the human brain could be getting into that aspect of so much thought, so many electrical signals, so much complexity in the network, that it's guaranteed there is a random process that is sustaining a constant force. And whether you can call that thought or not, obviously very dubious, but I would say is still a valid hypothesis given our current understanding of things.
So so there's a couple, this is good. I see what you're saying. So I definitely see that suggestion, and where you can take that randomness and what it means for like the larger picture of a discussion of free will. 2 points that I would put in the opposite direction. I'm not sure how if I was to try to boil that down to premises and then take issue with one, it would be where we go, there's one instance of randomness, and thus there are more. If we can predict randomness, which it seems like we can at least have a probability of understanding for it, then that would make randomness not, it would make it no longer random once it applies. Like, our free will would stop at that random event, because the random event happens and we don't have free will in how we react to that event. That's not going to be a random reaction. That reaction is going to be based on circumstance, environment, and our surroundings and understanding.
Right. So that's where it bridges out of the physical, is maybe our control in choosing from random effects in the brain is something we actually possess on a non-physical level.
But that would be, just to be clear, we are in the realm of conjecture, right?
Correct.
This
is full conjecture now. Yep.
The other thing that gets interesting here is we do start, and this is, I mean, we get into an appealing to mystery, which is awesome. Like, I love it. I love appealing to mystery. So does every single world religion. So the issue is like,
the technical term is argument from ignorance.
Yes. God of the gaps, if you will, is the more
exactly
layman's term for my Christian upbringing. But the premise here that I find, and this is where I get a little biased to my own skepticism, is I get a little jaded whenever we appeal, because I hear it, like, I've just heard it so many times in my own life, and been, misled. But when I hear, hey, we don't know, and thus there's truth in not knowing. And it's like, okay, I'll follow you to a point there, but then at the end of that line, we can't suddenly create another reality. We can go to the point where it's like, okay, let's both admit there's a lack of knowledge and an unknown, and then we're good, done. But then what happens, and I'm not suggesting that's what's happening here, this seems to be kind of like flirting in that threshold of purgatory or limbo or whatever we want to call it. But most people will go there, and then they take this huge leap out into the friggin' universe, and just like suddenly there's like deities and gods, and morality is defined by these different, like, and I'm just like, whoa, back up. Like, you can't, this isn't, the unknown isn't a train station where you get to build your train and take it out into a direction. Like, this is just the unknown. This is actually like a cul-de-sac.
Right.
We're done here, and then we have to wait for the people who know how to develop this area. They need to, like, create more roads for us.
Yes.
You don't get, like, it's fun, but it's not truth.
Sure. I will say, again, this is coming from human bias, obviously, but
sure,
on the more physical realm of things, our exploration of what we don't know is mapped out by those predictions, and then usually falls within those lines. There's times we get it wrong and we have to rearrange everything we previously thought we understood, but, like, even today we're still proving theories that Einstein said were possibilities. He didn't know they were truth. He just said, I looked at the math and something like this could happen. If this is the case, you might want to check along these lines. And then we eventually develop the tools and we explore, like, oh yeah. So, like, we can use the patterns of the past to have an expectation of what to look for and where to look for it in the future. And I would say, since you brought up the point of one example of randomness not defining multiple examples of randomness, but it's still a framework we could use to explore an expectation, so we know what to start looking for once we go down those paths of exploration.
Yeah, that's a good point. And it does bring up a couple things. One, like, if I'm going to keep using a religious facet, and then one that goes back to the quantum level. This is where I get into maybe my own, like, kind of belief per se, or maybe my, like, stalwart support of scientific exploration. But, like, the quantum level of the physical universe is something I think eventually we will understand. Maybe we nuke ourselves into oblivion before we get there. That's a strong possibility, actually. Like,
if Fermi has anything to say about it, all too likely.
Yep, like our our primal basis might beat us to our scientific curiosity.
Well, I don't even think it's just that. I think that's life in general. The nature of the universe. The universe is hostile. Life only exists in the most coddling of places. It could very well be that there's, on average, not enough time for a civilization to get everything right before it's destroyed. And
you can only say that about humans. You can't say that about like the ecosystem.
I suppose, but it's going from the data we have. That's correct, but it seems like that's a strong possibility, and there are probably slower ecosystems that are destroyed by the cosmos before they can develop something. And maybe we are more of a fast track one. And the problem with the fast track one is you might beat the cosmos to destroying, but because you're fast tracked, you're not as flushed out and you end up destroying yourself. So maybe there is a evolutionary speed which is ideal, in which you can get off your planet before it's destroyed, but not so fast that you end up destroying yourself.
I think that would play into the evolution of consciousness, though. That is, like, the consciousness gave us this, if we're talking about like this illusion of free will, it gave us decision making, and out of those decisions, we were able to say, okay, well, how can we improve our survival? And we decided that there were a lot of ways to kill other people's survival for the sake of our own.
Mm-hmm.
And once that happened enough times, like, yeah, you're right. Maybe there's a way to slow down the process of killing others for our own survival, but that primal instinct won't go away. And as a result, like, here we are. I think humans are the misstep, right? Like human beings are the ones who are going to cause that problem. If humans never evolve, then I think the planet chills until a natural disaster or the world explodes or the sun dies.
Right.
Like, I like, animals are just operating on these very like mechanical standards.
Yeah.
Regardless of that, I want to get to this other point, which is, as far as like the understanding. So I think I brought this up in one of our previous talks, possibilianism. And it's simply the argument that you can never commit to anything because there's too much out there that we aren't sure of. Mm-hmm. So you never commit, just be in non-committal. Which makes me want to bring up this other thing, but I'm going to wait. So as far as scientifically, the idea is that, like, deism could be true. And I know we've talked about that before as well. Like, the idea that a God exists can't be disproven. Yes, like, that is once again, like you mentioned so well earlier, science can't prove the truth of something. It can only prove absence or falsity. So we can't say God doesn't exist, whatever God is for anybody. But once we say this God cares about the way I have sex, now we do have this way to be like, well, how are you connecting the dots there? And then you're connecting those dots because of a book. The book was written by men, and now we suddenly have a connection into the physical world. We can actually judge it by science and say, is this false or is this true?
I would go even further than that and say that's not even science, that's philosophy, which is mathematics, logical argument, in which case it can be very easily be proven true, and it's not.
Right.
And as far as my philosophical understanding has concluded, any deity that is concerned with something you do physically is a false god. A true god would not care about the physicality of your life. They wouldn't care what you wear. They wouldn't care what you eat. They wouldn't care what you do with your body.
I don't know. Well, that's a whole different argument. Because we're assuming some kind of benevolence from a god. What if it's just an evil god who wants to impose on human beings and its creation things that suck?
Well, like I said, that would be the sign of a false god.
I mean, so are you using false as evil?
False as in not in the interest of the success of humankind.
Got it.
If we want to generalize it as much as possible.
Yeah, I got you. But I just want to be clear, because if we say false god, that's saying a god that isn't actually a god. Like, that could be
I guess, like, more contextually, like if you're looking at it theologically, False god is very much the idea of, it's more of a deception, right? Is the interpretation.
Sure.
So it's not that what you're worshiping is fake. It's that you've been deceived into worshiping that thing instead of a god that would be more beneficial to serve or
Right.
believe in.
So I guess my point there is like I would like Joseph Smith is a false god, the Pope is a false god.
Sure.
Like false gods can be like actual people.
Yep.
So if we're talking about an actual deity being a false god, I think that might be a little misleading. We should probably come up with a different phrase since
Sure.
false god applies to humans.
Sure.
Great.
When you figure that out, you let me know. I'll start using the term.
I will never figure it out. Okay, so truth traps. This is just a short excerpt from Zen and the Art of Motorcycle Maintenance.
Yeah.
You were talking about this. You mentioned like I forget what you mentioned, but like yes and no, and not being able to say yes or no or something. I don't even know. I wanted to read this.
Read it,
from the
and
beginning. This has
read it,
been-
and it might come to mind.
Truth traps are concerned with data that are apprehended and are within the boxcars of the train. For the most part, these data are properly handled by conventional dualistic logic and the scientific method talked about. But there's one trap that isn't. The truth trap of yes-no logic. Yes and no, this or that, 1 or 0. On the basis of this elementary two-term discrimination, all human knowledge is built up. The demonstration of this is the computer memory, which stores all its knowledge in the form of binary information. It contains ones and zeros. That's all. Because we're unaccustomed to it, we don't usually see that there's a third possible logical term equal to yes and no, which is capable of expanding our understanding in an unrecognized direction. We don't even have a term for it, so I'll just use the Japanese mu, M-U. Mu means no thing. It points outside the process of dualistic discrimination. Mu simply says no class, not 1, not 0, not yes, not no. It states that the context of the question is such that a yes or no answer is in error and should not be given. Unask the question is what it says. Mu becomes appropriate when the context of the question becomes too small for the truth of the answer. When the Zen monk Joshu was asked whether a dog had a Buddha nature, he said mu, meaning that if he answered either way, he was answering incorrectly. The Buddha nature cannot be captured by yes or no questions.
Sure.
Why is it so hard for us to think about there not being yes and no? And also, how insane is it to think about, at least in my experience, my upbringing, where every single decision I've ever considered had 2 options. Like it seems like I always landed on 2, like everything is 2 options, a yes or no, or right or wrong, black or white. Like there's always this like strict 2-line thing, and it doesn't like, and it seems so many people have that idea and are unable to kind of open up into other ideas. Go. I don't. Yeah, there. I'm gonna flop all that shit. It's a big pile of gross.
I mean,
I'm just gonna put
it's
it in
definitely
your lap.
important to have that classification. It would be too far, in my opinion, to say it's never appropriate to have yes or no. But it's important to have other classifications than duality. Especially when it comes into right and wrong. I'm a firm believer that almost everyone does what they think is right. Even if what they're doing is atrocious. They're doing it because, like, just think personally, like, when was the last time you knowingly did the wrong thing? Like, sure, we do it from time to time. Like, I really shouldn't chew out this customer in the middle of work, but I'm just having a bad day and I've had enough of it. Like, yeah, we have those moments where we deliberately choose to do the wrong thing. But those, I think, for most people, are very rare and few between. Most of the time, we're trying to do what we think is the right thing to do. So when Karen's yelling in the supermarket, when the boss is belittling their secretary, they're not doing it because they think, yeah, this is probably the wrong thing to do, but I'm going to do it anyway. They're thinking like, no, I'm trying to make things right. I'm trying to do the right thing.
Ooh.
So
I want to earmark. I'm going to earmark
yeah.
that.
So it's like, if your criticism to duality is in the direction of morality, I entirely agree. But I would say yes and no is still applicable. Where it comes from, certainly, if that's the original question you were asking, is survival, right? Can I eat this? Can I mate with this? Will this kill me? Right? The true answers there are usually probabilities, but that's not how you survive, right? So, like, I eat this red berry and I throw up. Well, that's not good. I eat this corn and I don't throw up. Okay, great. I can eat corn.
Okay.
Well, if you only eat corn, you die from malnutrition. So it's not yes, no, but as far as survival is concerned, yes, no. And then even over time, that sorts itself out, right? Because then the things that only eat corn, that becomes a no. Because they die. And the more balanced diet, the more exploratory diets lived on. And that becomes the yes.
Yes. Okay. Good.
At least as, and I'm not saying that they are truly yeses, truly nos, but as a origin of why this binary thinking evolved into our thought, I would imagine is very survivalistically based, because that would have been the first purpose it served.
So what we're seeing here, if I'm expanding on this, is we have a lot of survivalism and primal behaviors that are required for us to have even gotten here in the first place.
Right.
And now that we are here, it's almost like because our consciousness and our intellect has progressed so far that we can start to like deny these primal ideas, but we only have that luxury because we engaged them early on.
Right.
Like think art, right? Like somebody who can sit in a room and, create masterpieces 24 hours a day. You couldn't do that if you had to go hunt for, if you had to go find bison or forage for berries, like to eat. So it's like we've afforded ourselves so this idea of mu, as it's put in Japanese culture, or this non-binary answer of it is not either, that can only exist based on current culture. That only exists because we've gotten to this point, and now we can even think about the idea of not having a yes or no.
I'm drawing parallels here, right? So in that concept of discarding old evolution, right? Like, just look at butterflies, right? The caterpillar is a hyper-evolved digestive system, and then that entire thing is essentially discarded into a genetic goo, and it restructures itself. In some cases, the adult moth doesn't even have a digestive system. It is strictly a flying reproductive system.
They eat light. That's why they fly towards it.
Right. Sure. But so what I'm saying is that there's evolutionary parallels to this idea of discarding old evolution once you reach a point. It's not a one-for-one correlation, but the concept is there of you have a genetic foundation that serves you initially, but then once you get to a point of maturity, you need to restructure that DNA to serve you better. And I would say you are explaining just that, is that in order to develop consciousness, perhaps there is a certain antithetical behavior required. But then once you have the consciousness, you got to get rid of that behavior because it's no longer serving its purpose. Like, the survival instinct was necessary to generate thought, but now we have thought, so we don't need the survival instinct anymore.
Ooh, that's good. Yeah.
Love. Do we talk about love?
Yeah, it doesn't exist. Go ahead.
Great. Wow. All right. I think love is a verb. Would you concede to love as a verb existing rather than a noun?
What I will concede is I will split my brain in half.
Sure.
I am a romantic, and I follow a lot of like romanticism as philosophy. I love as a concept, as poetry. I love it, and I feel it, and I say it, and all that stuff. But then like left brain is like, this is simply an illusion so that we reproduce. That's what I'll say. Love is there to make sure we survive. We're going back to our primal instinct.
Great.
Okay, now yes, love is a verb. Go.
Okay. I would argue that maybe kind of what you said previously, that love did evolve in that respect of just a parent nurturing its child. But I wouldn't call that love the verb as humans execute it.
Okay.
I'm trying to. Here we go. The man who dug a tunnel through the mountain after his wife died.
Yes.
Maybe he was doing it for his wife, but he was doing it out of love. He was sacrificing his time, his energy, to create something that would not benefit him. I mean, maybe psychologically it benefited him. Like, that was his coping mechanism,
Correct.
whatever.
Right. Mm-hmm.
But it was kind of that never again. Like, this is something I have suffered, and even though I have no way to benefit from this, I'm going to do it because it benefits other things. And again, that may come evolutionarily from a tribal evolution of needing to sacrifice self to keep the species going. Like, there's an evolutionary pressure that supports those decisions. But I think it goes beyond animals, right? So people always make those arguments like, oh, well, the horse ran into the house and saved the owner from the burning house, and that's love or whatever. It's like, no, the horse is like, that's the guy who gives me food and pulls things out of my hooves. If he goes, I'm fucked. That's a
right.
selfish action. That's not love the verb. And we were talking about this off stream a while ago. There's a great rabbi, and I'll figure out the video description, whatever, at some point, who talks about fish love. And I love the example. It's a great example. And I know you've heard this, but I'm going to say it for the benefit of everyone listening, is that the love that you criticize rightfully is that fish love. It's like, I love fish. Well, do you? Because you pulled it out of the water, you killed it, you skinned it, you chopped it up, and then you boiled it. Like, that doesn't sound like what someone who loves fish would do. Maybe you love the taste of fish, or you love what the fish does for you, but you don't love the fish. And that's very easily parallel to relationships. When you say things like, oh, they complete me, or I would die without you. Like, I love Stephen Colbert, and he has that outpouring love, and he's said multiple times publicly, like, he knows his wife is probably going to die first, and he's going to die a month later because he can't live without her, which is great, romantic, awesome, super, but technically does fall into that category of fish love, because his life is made better by her existence.
Yes.
And I'm not criticizing him, because I'm sure he devotes his life to her in honor of that. And that's the real love. That's not the fish love. It's, how do I take what I have to make things better for other people? And that's how I would describe the verb love, is that there's the hierarchy of needs, and usually the creature is at the top of itself. And my bar line, I'm a threshold. Threshold is my ontology, right? I see everything in the world through the ontology of thresholds. And so my threshold for like actual love as a verb is once something or someone is above you in your hierarchy of needs. Once the priority is that first, then you. I would describe that as the verb to love. Okay.
I feel like we've talked about this before, like almost not verbatim, but very close. I would argue that never happens. And I would like, this is where we get into the discussion of, is there such thing as an unselfish act?
Right.
And I think I feel like we've talked about this before, and you came up with a couple examples that were like, okay, that could be the case, but wouldn't you also like let's use the example of like taking a bullet for somebody, like dying for somebody. At the same time, us realizing our mortality, realizing we're going to die anyway, and if we're going to die, we could die and give our reputation that's going to live on a bunch of glory and gold stars and honor by taking that bullet. It's like,
better
wouldn't
to
that
die,
be the ultimate way for selfish survival?
Right. Better to die doing something beneficial than just dying in your bed when you're 80. Like making your death useful.
But like to be clear, it's like couldn't we argue that is a selfish act as far as preserving reputation and trying to continue living, like by dying in beneficial circumstances to us? They gave their life for me. They'll build a monument for me. They'll build me a statue.
Right.
Like they'll make me immortal.
Right. I think with that line of logic, you could very easily argue no selfish act, because you could just say anyone by definition of being a human being, if they sacrifice themselves to benefit humankind, is just perpetuating the species and therefore their own kind, which is selfish.
Correct.
So if that's the lens, then yeah, everything is selfish just on the fact that
everything is unselfish.
It's selfish.
Or selfish. Sorry. Yes. Right.
Because we're human beings. And anything done for the benefit of human beings is selfish because we're human beings. Like even technically, nature preservation. Well, that's because if we destroy the planet, we don't care. Like nature will be fine if we die, but we won't be fine if we die. So that's why we have to take care of the planet.
This, as a thought on this, and I'd actually be interested to hear what you think of this. Like, I don't think that there's anything necessarily like wrong with making this admission. Like, I don't think us as humans would lose anything if we admit everything we do is selfish. And I think a lot of people want to, I say a lot of people, that's like a catchphrase. I don't even need to like say that. I think people, they will think that there is a disadvantage to the admission that everything is selfish. And I'm not sure what we would lose. I think we could only gain if we were to admit that. Like, it doesn't mean you can't do good things. It doesn't mean that you can't pay for somebody's coffee or buy a homeless person a house or whatever you want to do. Like, it doesn't suddenly mean like, oh, I have to be like, no, because everything is already selfish, but we want to fight against that ideology. Whether because it's true or not is moot at that point. It's just more that people want to fight against the idea that can be unselfish. Thoughts? I don't know. That was gross. Once again, I dumped it in your lap in a very poor form.
No, I mean,
I like doing that. It's
philosophically, great. I think you're correct on a logical argument, but I think the application to human beings is very dangerous. I mean, you look at the spiritual circles that we have in this country now are all about selfishness, and it's disgusting. It's a very unhealthy, quote unquote, selfishness. Because that leads to the mindsets of like, well, if we're all selfish, then we can all just take care of ourselves first and then help once that's with whatever's left over after the fact. And a lot of people can't afford that. You're going to create a very animalistic, survivalistic society. Right? Like we talk about the quote unquote failure of America is the lack of embracing the never again. Well, that's America. Is the not embracing the never again is I'll take care of myself first and then I'll help when I have the leftovers.
Okay. I think you would have to juxtapose like, okay, everybody is selfish, but we always have been, and we're still doing good things. Don't change. You don't have to like. I guess that's what I'm trying to impress.
Right.
And it sounds like that wouldn't work.
That's what I'm saying.
Where you have to not only tell people they're selfish, you have to tell them, don't believe the connotation, just the denotation.
Right.
It's not the connotation that you can go and start killing people. It's the denotation that you're doing things for your own survival, but keep trying to be a good person.
Right.
Like, or keep being a good person. I don't know. Right. It gets convoluted.
As I say, I think philosophically, logically, you have a good argument, but I don't think real life application.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah,
I have a lot of those.
I think embracing selfishness is inherently dangerous, in my opinion. Whether it's true or not. Like, maybe it's a good thing that we've convinced ourselves that it's a bad thing.
I would argue that this is like free will, though. I think this would be the same thing where
Sure.
free will doesn't exist, but I acknowledge that, and then I continue to live in the illusion of free will existing.
Right.
So same thing. Like, I acknowledge I'm selfish, and now I will continue to try to do unselfish things. Like,
Right.
I will continue to be an unselfish person.
Right.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. As established, I'm much more optimistic. I think it is. I think that is the unique human experience. Is unlike everything that's come before us, we might actually have that free will, and we might actually have the chance to do something that's not selfish.
Interesting. That's fair. Yeah. I have another topic I bring up, but I don't know what you're thinking for.
We're what is time?
That's the spirit. I want to get your thoughts on privacy.
Privacy. Great.
Yeah.
It's hard to argue. Honestly, it's hard to argue with if you have nothing to hide, right?
Let me give a more like a microscope. Let me section a specific thing. What do you think we should? Nah, I don't like the word should. What do you think is private, and should we care? Should we actually care about our privacy in a social media, internet information age?
Right. It's unique because, in my opinion, again, it's hard to argue against the if you have nothing to hide. And that isn't to say people don't. I think everyone has something to hide. But that's the question is, why are you hiding it? Are you hiding it because you're ashamed of it? Are you hiding it because you can't face it? Like, most of the time when we hide things, it's from an unacceptance. It's either a mistake or a wrongdoing or something we haven't resolved within ourselves, and until we resolve it with ourselves, we can't share it with others. I think that with the internet, at least right now, we still have a pretty easy time preserving that if you're just not an idiot about it, right? That's rule number one of the internet. If you don't want it on the internet, don't put it on the internet, right? And that's not just like images or video cameras, just thoughts, messages, whatever. Like literally anything you put on the internet is on the internet. And that's easy to safeguard, right? It's just like real life, you don't want your friends to know that you're cheating on your wife. Well, then don't message on the internet the person you're cheating with that you're cheating, right? Like it's like you can keep that off the internet. But
could we take that a step farther though and talk about why you should keep that? Like,
that's my argument. Is what I'm saying is, most of the time, privacy or needing to keep something private comes from like that shame from wrongdoing.
Right.
Something unresolved in your brain. And socially, psychologically, it's very important that you resolve it inside before it's resolved outside. Right. So as far as like privacy goes, I recognize the need for people to have privacy because you need to process things somewhere, somehow. Right. I've made the mistake. I've tried to process things publicly on stream, and it came out completely against the way I wanted it to come out, and it created kind of like the wrong image that I was accosting people rather than just trying to flush through ideas in my brain. And I had to like go back on what happened. So socially, there has to be privacy for those processes to occur. But I think most of the time it's very easy for the individual to do that. Where you get a bit more dubious is looking into the future, because if everyone's houses have cameras and microphones in them, then you have to like start making more conscientious efforts. Like then you have to make like a designated safe room in your own house where you can go to have your privacy, right? And it is all participation and involvement. You can choose what electronic devices are where and what their capabilities are and stuff like that. But
so I think what you've hit on, this is really good. I think this isn't a privacy issue. This is a shame issue. I think, like when I think of privacy, it's like somebody, let's give an example that kind of hits the point, like somebody who would like openly share their masturbation habits.
I was about to actually go towards that direction. I was going to say, like, if someone hacked my web camera and like got video of me naked, I wouldn't be upset about it because I'm not ashamed of my body.
Right.
But I could like understand someone else not wanting that shared. Right. And technically, that was against their consent. And you can make the stupid argument like, well, they consented to have a camera on or a camera in the room where they're naked. It's like, yeah, but we all do that. Like, you can't 24 hours a day be paranoid about where all the cameras are when you're walking around your house naked, right? Like, you need to just be able to be yourself. But that's the difference, right? Is consent. Maybe not just so much specifically shame, but consent. And maybe shame drives a lot of when there is and is not consent in those situations. So
shame and consent. Okay.
Yeah, I would say
chew on those.
I would say consent is more the driving force of privacy than shame.
Yeah,
But most of the time, you could ask the question, well, then why are you not giving consent? And the answer is going to be, well, I'm ashamed.
This is also something that I don't think a lot of people consider, like in any reasonable amount of depth, where you're saying, if somebody says, hey, why don't you want a photo of you naked on the internet? It's like, nobody wants that. And it's like, okay, but that doesn't answer the question. Why do you not want a photo of you
naked? Like, if nobody wants it, then great. No one will ever look at it because nobody wants it.
Like, but then I think the fear is like, you're right. There's this shame of like, well, then I will be out there. I'll be revealed. I will be. Plus, we've been raised like to have clothes on and not be naked, and it's against the law and all this stuff. But like it's something that has really been on my mind lately, with just the fact that we give up our privacy so easily to sign up for any social media program.
Right.
The reason I deleted Facebook as a result of me just being like, I'm done with this. The conversations aren't good. Everybody hates everybody. Everyone's mad about everything all the time, constantly. And I'm giving my data for free to this company.
Right.
But it doesn't seem like we have a problem with that. So I'm wondering if we're getting into what, like a post-privacy era? Like we're in post-truth already.
So
maybe post-privacy is a thing.
Well, it's already been proven just by what you just said, is that people are willing to barter their privacy, or at least their data. They do that. We've done that with different aspects. We've bartered our sexuality. We've bartered our honesty. We barter all sorts of things that are at some time or another considered holistic and incorruptible or should never be sold, etc. It's very much that capitalist society is, everything has a price. Right. So and just like you said, right? So Facebook wasn't offering you the value for your privacy. You said my privacy is more valuable than what I'm getting from Facebook. So you stopped doing business with Facebook. But what Twitch offers you is way better at a much lower cost of privacy. So that's a deal you're willing to make.
I would argue that the Facebook privacy would be my lowest argument, but it certainly is like a weird. I just don't. Yeah, it just doesn't feel right that they would like consent, right? It's consent.
Right.
And I
consent.
signed up for the consent, but I didn't. But I didn't. Like I checked all the boxes
Right.
and said, yeah. I don't care.
Because
Just
it's
let
not
me
made.
put my face on my page.
It's
let
not
me put
made,
my face on my page already. I want to put
well,
my face on my page.
It's not made clear the extent, right?
Yeah.
So it's just like credit reports. Like,
yeah,
you don't give consent to have your credit report created attached to your social security number.
right.
And then on top of that, they make credit reports something that's necessary for basic life decisions. And it's like, well, hold on. Like, that's when it becomes a problem. It's like, wait a minute, right?
Right.
And so the same thing, like, it wasn't the initial consent, even though the initial consent should be required. It wasn't the initial consent that was the biggest problem. It was the deception.
Yeah. I think, and yeah, to we don't need to open up a new topic. Social media is poison. You should delete Facebook immediately. I delete Facebook because it's garbage. But that's really good. I see what you're saying. It's the deception. It's the idea that it presents that something can present itself as altruistic and beneficial,
Right.
and then do something malevolent or insidious,
Right.
With the intent of profit.
And even if it's not malicious, it's still deception by omission, right?
Deception by omission.
Right.
Yes.
So like
correct.
they'll say like, hey, if you use this, we are free to use your picture and messages for our own publicity and business dealings. You're like, well, that makes sense. If they want to make like a Facebook ad, my picture might be on there. I'm fine with that. Cool, great. But what's left out is like, oh, we're going to sell your behavioral patterns analyzed from your interaction with our website to other companies so that they can advertise directly to you. It's like, well, that wasn't really covered in the initial agreement. That was kind of under the rug of the share and use your content. Right? So that's what I mean by deception, is that deception by omission rather than necessarily malevolent.
Is there a chance that you know there is a facet of the Twitch affiliate agreement that a lot of people don't know that is quite deceptive by omission?
Ooh. I mean, I know of a couple, but I would be interested to know which one you're referring to specifically.
Right. So Twitch, for those who don't know, the Twitch affiliate contract states that Twitch gets the rights exclusively to everything about you. They have the right to your image, to your content, and they have exclusivity. When you actually accept the affiliate agreement, Twitch is suddenly the only place you can stream. It's not to say that you don't stream multiple places, but at any point in time, if you matter enough to them, they can come to you and say, hey, we noticed you've been streaming a lot over here. You're getting kind of a following, but you kind of signed a contract that says that you have to only stream and we own your rights. So you have to stop doing that or we will ban you. Mm-hmm. That's not good. It's like they are literally, Twitch is farming affiliates for brand recognition. And at any point in time, they can call you on it. They can basically, like, if you grow enough, they can just be like, ooh, and they can actually reach out to you. There have been a couple instances of this, but for the most part, you don't have to worry. But I'm just saying, on paper, Twitch owns you and owns your online brand.
That's not too strange. If you really
YouTube doesn't do it. Mixer didn't do it.
Well,
they let you can stream wherever you want. Facebook doesn't do it.
And they're doing so well.
I'm just saying.
Right.
I'm just saying.
What I'm getting at is treating streamers as contracted independent business people, right? That's a solid business move. And I would imagine for most people, like, unless there's some weird legal loophole where they can sue you for $1 million when you're not even making $1 million, I would imagine the cost of breach of contract as an affiliate is minimal. Where saying, okay, then just I don't want to be affiliate with Twitch anymore isn't going to result in like a $50,000 lawsuit from Twitch against you for breach of contract. I would hope. Like maybe that is something that could happen, in which case I would be more concerned. But I would imagine the risk of breach of contract at the affiliate level might not be that. I would imagine the partner level it gets a bit more serious, and that's why I would be very hesitant to accept a partnership from Twitch unless I was insured that I would be taken care of. But I would imagine on the affiliate level there might be, a bit of a benchmark.
So the idea here for me is that this is deception by omission.
Right.
This is something
I'll
where
agree with that.
everybody is like, I got affiliate, and everybody's like, yes, that's awesome. And not nowhere is there a big bold sign that says, hey, just so you know, okay, for down the line or anything, you are giving exclusive rights to Twitch. And not only that, they're going to take 50% of the money you make and put it into their pocket. Mm-hmm. And you can't go stream anywhere else.
Right.
Like, that's not like this exclusive thing that's put up front. It's more like, ooh, I can make money on Twitch.
As a contract, it's very normal, but they seem to not be as overt about it. Right. Like, it's no different than if you were going to produce an album with a studio for music. It's the same exact thing, but they don't present it that way, or they make it a lot more casual than it is.
So. And that is a good point. It's not to say that the contract itself is a problem. It's more to say that with the way that the streaming atmosphere and layout look like right now, to sign up to make residual amount of money with a company taking most of it, and then to have you also not know that at any point in time they can just shut you down because you stream somewhere else's.
Right. So
yeah.
Okay. Deception by omission I'll agree with, but I would also kind of say it's not the most extreme example because it is a very regular business practice that actually makes a lot of sense. But yes, they should be a lot more upfront about it and less casual about it.
Every affiliate I've talked to about it didn't know. I'm just saying.
I've always treated my streaming since I decided to go full time with streaming. I've always treated it as a business, so I view it from that perspective. Sure. Of like, this is my brand, and I'm choosing to have it on Twitch, kind of a thing. So,
there are several people who have gone from Twitch over to YouTube and had Twitch like send them emails. It's like, oh hey, I see you're streaming on YouTube all the time. Stop.
Right.
And then they're like, no. And it's like, okay, your channel's gone.
Right. And that's fine.
It's just weird in the streaming sphere. Anyway. Yeah. Okay, great. Good.
Great. That was fantastic. Bax, thanks for being here. Well done. We did it. Looking forward to having my channel canceled right after this show.
Yeah. You got canceled? Why? Why would you be canceled?
You got anything to promote? You gotta.
We're doing a Pro Marbles League on Fridays. This afternoon, we're going to be probably shenegling some puzzles, which will be fun. I love solving puzzles, so if you like solving some puzzles, be sure to stop by.
Awesome.
We are going to be casting MLE, the MLE Combines. MLE is a Rocket League. It's the Major League Esports Rocket League thing. They got a combine for drafting onto teams Sunday night.
Nice.
I'll have a ping in my Discord for that. And then Monday and Wednesday for the next 2 weeks, I'm casting the Rocket Soccer Confederation Rocket League playoffs over on the RSC Solar, twitch.tv/RSC Solar.
Good
so
stuff.
That'll be a lot of Rocket League casting coming up. And then Marbles, and then Shens, and then Record Hunters, and then okay.
Great. Good stuff. Catch it all. Thank you all for watching this portion of the YouTube video. We will continue with Q&A with Chad after this, but you got to be here live to enjoy that. So thank you again, Bax. Very much appreciated. And we'll see you next time.